So Moist Critical goes on an indefinite hiatus. So here's the thing, right? Is like, I don't know if he's taking a break. So this is what he said, right?
Do you believe that somebody can go through hormone therapy? Can they change their gender if they're a child?
I think that's totally fine as long as everyone is consenting, as you agree with.
Effective immediately, Charlie's made the decision to leave both the official podcast and Red Thread. He wants to go on an indefinite hiatus to scale back his time spent on the internet. We obviously wish him the best, for everyone to respect his decision, and for all to know that the show will always be open for him to drop by and talk shop should he wish to return. So, the podcast isn't going anywhere, etc. He's only taking a break. Yeah, that's what I said, right? He's still uploading videos and streaming like usual. Yeah. Now, I think that probably he probably left this podcast because, like, there was that one dude that was on his podcast that said a bunch of crazy shit. Like, I don't really know. I don't watch the podcast. I'm not really sure. But, like, I heard that, yeah, Kaya, something like that. Like, isn't that the name of Hassan's dog? But anyway, yeah, this is another one. And, yeah, the guy from Turkey, I don't really know who it is. That's what I thought. And so, this dude apparently caused trouble. And I'm sure Charlie probably just doesn't want to have, like, at this point, right? You have all these people that are mad about, like, that fucking, about that shit he said with Sneeko, right? About, like, the gender assignment surgery. And so then you've got, like, this other dude that's, like, saying weird shit on your podcast. At a certain point, man, you just gotta, you gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? So that's it. What's the squeaking sound? It's a weird thing from my fucking, from the song. Sorry about that, bro. Like, yeah, that was weird. He made an obscene joke about taking pictures of 8-year-old girls. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, I didn't actually see it. I heard it. I just read the headline. I said, that's weird. And so I just was like, I mean, I didn't really have an opinion of him, right? I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to get involved with, like, some fucking bullshit. Doc made a tweet. Yeah. Let's see the rest of this. The Sneeko thing showed that he needs to take a break. Aspen has apologized. No, I never backtrack. I never do. Like, sometimes I'll change my mind if something new happens, right? But, like, overall, no, I don't like backtracking at all. But the truth is, like, I don't think Charlie, I don't know what's going on in his head, what's going on with him. I have no idea, right? I don't really talk to him a lot, so I have no idea. But here's really what's going on, right? Is, like, people get mad about opinions that anybody is going to have, and I think that anytime that a person is doing well, everybody is out there waiting for an opportunity to make them not do so well. And this happens with me, it happens with him, it happens with anybody. It happens with Ninja, it happens with, like, you know, Miz, XQC, Kai, fucking Jinxie. People do that with anybody who's doing well. People want him to do Mr. Beast. Oop, there's another one, right? Because now there's some criticism of Mr. Beast that's got some weight to it, right? But before it was like, oh, he's using blind people for content. Like, get the fuck out of here. What kind of a retard says that? And so the problem is that it's the people like doing this, right? And so the only way you can do this, is that if you just go and you can't give a fuck, man. That's why being a streamer sucks mental health wise. Oh, being a streamer is awful for people's mental health, man. It is. It's real bad. Because, like, you got all kinds of shit going on, like, and I'm not saying this is what's going on with Charlie. Like, as I said, I don't know. Like, I have no idea. But, for both the viewer and a streamer, yeah. And so, like, that's bad. Yeah, probably, yeah. Talking to yourself for hours. Well, it's that, here's the way I see it, right? It's that streaming, you put a lot of yourself out there, and, like, you also have to deal with people that try to read mean, like, try to type mean shit to you, people that try to, like, harm you in one way or another, people that try to do bad shit to you, all this stuff. And so you put all that together, and guess what happens? Well, it's exhausting, especially, like, you got focus on, like, you know, streaming and YouTube, being a content creator. There's, like, a focus on numbers. Whenever you have quantitative variables that define a human being's self-worth, that's never healthy, right? Whether it's money, viewer count, subscribers, or, you know, height. You think about it, right? There's never a case where that's a good thing. And so, credit rating, I mean, you just go down the list. So, maintaining your quality of work? Yeah, exactly. And, like, so your views get more scrutiny too? Yeah, exactly. So, can't imagine having millions watch every move you make? Yeah, I mean, that's just what it is. That's called life, people messing with you. Sneeko people were harassing Charlie so much he had to end his stream. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily Sneeko. I think that, like, you're just seeing... The truth is, like, you're seeing a massive backlash against a lot of, like, LGBT stuff. And I think that the primary backlash isn't against the LG or B. It's against the T. A lot of people are pushing back super hard on trans stuff, especially with kids and especially with, like, what do you call it? Athletes, right? And so this has happened. And the reason why it's happened, I'll tell y'all why it's happened, is because for 5 years, 10 years, you were not able to say a single fucking thing that was not in that direction. And now that you can, everybody is making up for lost time. Because this is the truth is, you actually ask the amount of people that legitimately think about this shit. No, the majority of people do not support it. They do not. And you look at any opinion poll and that's the fact. And so whenever you make people live with their mind in a cage, that's only going to last for so long. And it doesn't matter if it's a dictatorship. It doesn't matter if it's a mental, like, you look at McCarthyism. And then what happened after McCarthyism? Well, you had the 60s with the hippies and everything. And you have things go back and forth, back and forth. So you got to think about, like, Adolf was a reaction because, like, in the 1930s and, you know, a bit before then, after World War I, Berlin and Germany and everything, like, it was, like, Berlin, bro, like, that shit was, like, that was, like, one of the most progressive capitals in the whole world. Like, they had the first transgender assignment surgery in between World War I and World War II inside of Germany. This was like a crazy, crazy thing. And so again, and the book burnings, right? They said that's whenever the Nazis burned all the fucking books. Now, did they burn the books because of what they said or because they associated them with Jewishness and they didn't like that and they wanted all the books to be written in German instead? There's a bit of history to this. It's a little bit complicated. So both, right? But it was both, right? It was a cultural and also a, it was multiple things at the same time, right? And so, both probably. And so you can see how shit goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you see it now with what Moist Critical said. If he had said that 3 years ago, everybody would have been totally okay with it. Everybody would have been like, you know, there would have been like a bunch of tweets, you know, celebrating it. And now there's a bunch of tweets hating on him for it. Because that's just the way it is. Because people, you got to understand, like, 80% of people, like, they just go with the flow, right? Like, they just say what's popular. They say what people want to hear. And the 20% or so that don't, you know, basically fight over that market share of the 80% of people that kind of just like, or whatever. Okay, what, who you are? Leave the kids out of it? That's what a lot of people say. And the reality is, like, that's what Nick Merckx said, remember? People got really mad at Nick Merckx for that. And y'all, actually, that's actually a great example. Because, like, how many people think that there should be, like, and I'm not asking you guys, but I'm saying, like, how many people do you think in Florida think that there should be, you know, any pride stuff in an elementary school? I bet probably less than 10% of the population there. Maybe 20, right? Like, this is a super, super low percentage of people think that should none, right? But a lot of people do not think this. And so what happens? Nick goes out and he says something that resonates with the majority of people. Keep this in mind. The majority of people. He has the popular opinion and he gets completely unpersoned. Like, fucking, he loses brand deals. He loses his Call of Duty skin. Like, everybody is shitting on him. And I think everybody saw that. And people were like, this is enough, bro. Like, we had enough of this shit. And I think that's why people support Nick so much now. Like, I see the likes on his tweets, bro. People are out to promote him as much as they can. Yeah, he was right, though. It doesn't matter whether you think he was right or not. The point is that whenever you try to suppress a popular opinion, the only thing you have to do is wait for it to come back and bite you in the ass. That's what happens. About how minorities affect the majority? Oh, yeah, there's a lot of examples of that in history, for sure. The right wing supporting bigots is nothing new. Well, what I'm saying is that, like, the right-wing bigots, etc., like, that has been nerfed. It's been nerfed because the only reason why people were afraid of being called that is because they were worried about getting banned on social media. But because there's been so much of a cultural shift, that doesn't happen anymore. So nobody gives a shit. You want to call somebody a buzzword, go ahead and do it. Just don't expect them to go and act like don't expect them to act different whenever you say that. I will say for like the moist critical stuff, I don't think it's really that big of a deal. I think the guy just said he's stepping away from doing the podcast. And I actually don't think that's even because of, like, I don't think this is entirely because of the Sneeko shit. I think it's also because that one weirdo guy was on the podcast, and there's been a lot of clips of him recently that have gotten traction where he says stuff that's, like, problematic in one way or another. So I think that him trying to move away from the podcast is probably a good idea. Kaya? Yeah, right? And so I think that's what's really going on. Charlie made a video earlier today. He's 100% staying. Yeah. He's not leaving the internet. He's not quitting the internet. He's just simply he's not doing this podcast anymore. And that's a smart idea. Why are they saying it's from a Sneeko debate? Because those are the two things that people probably know the most about. And so it's like, you know, causation. Like there's two things that happen. People assume it's one cause the other. It's just how people are. He had a terrible take. Trying to reverse it is what was weird, but makes sense why I would take a break. I think the more that you talk about, and this is the issue, right, is that, like, for me, I have this happen a lot, because the more that you talk about hot button issues and, like, really intense issues, the higher the probability is that you're going to be, you know, on the wrong side of what most people think, which, again, doesn't make you wrong. Like, just because you say something and most people think that you're wrong, that doesn't make you wrong. However, you say, who cares? It's easy to say who cares when you've never been the target of harassment from like thousands or tens of thousands of people, everybody farming you, fucking hating you, like messaging you, sending your bro's take was wrong. What I'm saying is that even if he doesn't think it was wrong, that's not the point, right? That's not the point. Like, you've got to think beyond that. Like, what matters is not the truth. What matters is how the truth is seen. And if people think that you're wrong, then in a lot of cases, you're wrong. So that's it. It said it was hyperbole? Yeah, sure. But anyway, what I'm really trying to get at with this is that it is very exhausting. I know it is for me too, when you go on Twitter and there's like constantly people that are like harassing you, calling you fucking stupid, saying that you're a terrible person, and like all these like really, really crazy things, right? And it's not something that... I think that the more you make content and the more you do stuff, the less it bothers you. But it's also something that takes a long time to become acclimated to, where you're not very, like, stressed out from it and you're not very bothered from it. Because for me, like, it used to bother me a lot more than it does now. Like, now, if something bad happens, I just don't really give a fuck. And it's like I just keep moving on and it doesn't make a difference. So, yeah, but I thought you would be immune from now. Well, I mean, it's not that I'm necessarily immune to it or not immune to it. It's just that when I see something like that, I don't necessarily view it as... Like, I don't take it as seriously anymore, right? Who cares what he thinks about trans issues that much? He's a YouTuber, can't you just ignore it? Exactly. You ever get death threats? Of course people threaten to kill me. All the time. Like, this isn't some kind of a surprise. Yeah, if you don't like somebody, you're going to want to kill them. Like, I mean, really? If there's a million people that don't like you, one of them is going to say they're going to kill you, of course. Yeah, it's not a surprise. All the time, yeah. So, that's just what happens. And again, everybody is going to get death threats. That's heartbreaking, you get death threats? No, it's not. Who cares? Like, listen, if somebody's going to kill you, they're going to do it, and that's just the way it is. Like, I'm not going to sit around and worry about this and think about this and get stressed out about it. It's just the way it is. And... I like the logic. Yeah. I mean, even except example, Trump get death threats. Everybody gets anybody who has an opinion or puts themselves out there or is known will get threatened, or people will hate them. You know, that's it. That's why you have a gun. No, it doesn't matter if somebody you just wait for somebody to turn around and shoot them in the back of the head. Like, it's not like they're gonna draw down on you like it's a fucking like a Western. They're just going to wait for you to walk somewhere and then shoot you randomly. You're not going to be able to react to that. If somebody wants to kill you, they're going to do it. Like, that's just that's just the truth, right? It's just the truth. That's the way it is. Now, you can cry about this and get upset about it, but that's how it is. I challenge you. Yeah, this isn't a duel. They're just going to wait for that to happen. Anyway, yeah, I think it can be exhausting dealing with that. And you see a lot of, and I think also like right now, like on the internet, people are very cancel hungry. Everybody is looking to cancel somebody new. They're looking to find a new reason to drag somebody down or get mad at somebody. And that stuff can only hurt you if you let it hurt you. Because at the end of the day, if you make content, like think about the amount of controversies that I've been through and the amount of people that hate me. And it doesn't matter because I just keep making content and I keep making videos. The only way you can lose is if you stop. Because there are going to be people out there that agree with you and they think that you're right. So if you go and you try to, fight this and do all of it, and also you will never agree with people either. Or sorry, you'll never get people to agree with you either. Because even if you think that you're right with every fiber of your being, that doesn't mean that anybody else has to consider that you're right. That's it. What if I talk about Charlie? Are you talking about Charlie said kids should be able to get castrated? I don't care what your opinion on it is. It doesn't matter to me. Like, oh, you think, oh wow, so you've changed the vocabulary of it in a way that you say that I want kids to be castrated is what you're saying. Think whatever you want. That's not the conversation. Okay, so if you want to, have your emotional diarrhea go everywhere because you can't have a normal conversation, that's fine. But that's your problem and not mine. Stop crying. That's not even what he said. I don't care what he said. Doesn't matter. I'm just talking about the issue in general. So yeah, they're strawmanning Charlie's steak. I don't care what it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Fuck. I saw a stream what they're talking about. Yeah, there's someone who's seen the deal, the aftermath, trying to slander me online. Your words are very healing. Yeah, and it's very problematic, and it hurts a lot to have to deal with it online, and especially if you're not used to it. Like I remember when people started first hating me. And it was like very exhausting for me to deal with. And I would try to convince people that they were wrong. And I realized that I never could. Because you can't reason a person out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. And there are some people that all they have to do is look at you and they know they fucking hate you. That's all it is. That's all it takes. And that's what happens. Not to be off topic, you can play League again? Maybe. You became numb to it? I did. Whenever I read it now, I just don't even think about it. I don't even consider them people. It doesn't even matter to me, hardly at all. And I think that's a better way and a better way to approach it. Charlie has no need to keep making videos. He did it for the community. He could have left any time. I'm glad he's being smart. Yeah, no, I mean, he's going to keep making videos. He's just not going to be part of the podcast. Right? I think that's a smart thing to do. Like, fuck that. He basically got debated into agreeing with kids transitioning. We just thought he meant everything but the medical. I don't care. Like, I don't care about what the take was. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant to me. What about positive messages? You have 100 people shake your hand and one person slap you in the face. What are you going to remember? Pretty easy to think, right? I mean, like, come on. You drive to work every day, but you get in a wreck one day. What day do you remember? Yeah, I mean, there are so many real-life examples where it's like, negative feedback, people have a higher probability to process negative feedback. Also, another reason why, and this is another big thing online, is that on the internet, almost everything that you see on the internet is going to be read through text, right? Like like I'm reading, he wants to go on an indefinite hiatus, right? So he said, like, there's this. So when you read something, if somebody tells you something, it's coming from another person. But whenever you're reading it, you are effectively telling it to yourself. So I think that internet and like online criticism has like a certain type of pervasive, like damaging nature that a lot of other types of harassment and criticism don't have. Because on the internet, you're reading these negative types of criticism in your own voice, in your own mind, to yourself. So it makes it easier for you to internalize these things And it makes it easier for those things to be corrosive. You see what I'm saying? Even so, with more negative feedback is much more common than positive ones. Yeah, negative feedback is, I think it's a 9-to-1 ratio that you're more likely to receive negative feedback versus positive feedback. That's just the way it is with a lot of things. So yeah, it's not just the internet, it's also books versus street ads and shops. Yeah, well, it's easier to externalize these things because they're not happening inside of your own mind. So with this, I think that reading this stuff can be very, like, you see this happen with a lot of content creators. Like, it's no secret that content creation is like a hotbed for breeding mental illness. Like, and I know this, for example, I think YouTube is better, by the way, than Twitch. So I talked to a lot of people, like whether they're YouTubers, streamers, you know, people on Instagram, etc., right? Streaming is like way more corrosive. And I think the reason why is because most people aren't used to being like observed for hours and hours and hours. So you can't have like weird facial movements. You're getting live feedback in real time and you have to process it. You're getting shit like, yeah, it's instant feedback. People are going to constantly try to come and harass you. So yeah, it's brutal, man. It really is. It can be brutal. And you see it fuck up a lot of people. Like, think about how many streamers there are that that have like report mental illness and stuff like that. YouTubers can just ignore the comment section. Yeah, and I've learned that people will respect you if you have an opinion they disagree with, if you won't back down from it. But and this is a bad thing. People respect someone being willing to hold a wrong opinion more than someone who's willing to change to a right opinion. That's just the way it is. And you will gain more respect from people by standing by a stupid opinion than changing your opinion to something that's more accurate. No? All right. Hard disagree. Okay. So, usually when a person has an opinion that is negatively received, and they change their opinion, the perception is because they changed their opinion as a result of that negative feedback. So it's not seen as authentic at all. So even when you try to change your opinion, people will not respect you for it because they don't view it as your own. They view it as you doing this as a response to them, which is inherently to them not as respectable. I see your point. Yes, exactly. Because you learn that's not how people see things. I don't think it is. Stand on business? Yeah. It's a social pressure. It's weird, but it's true. Yeah. And I understand that a lot of people say that's not the way that I see it. Well, that's great. But I'm talking about on averages. Try having a girlfriend, you defend them no matter how much they get themselves into? No, you don't. You break up with them. If you have a girlfriend that's putting you in situations, like... if you have a girlfriend that's writing blank checks for you to cash... then bro, like, you gotta get the fuck rid of that. Yeah, not that easy? Yeah, I know, but at one point or another it has to happen. Only a horse doesn't change his mind. People just love to antagonize any opinion that's different than their own. Yeah, and if you change your mind on something, people will never respect you for it. I've seen this happen many times, and I've never seen it be a positive. People don't see things logically the same way that they probably should, and they never have.